Welcome, everyone. Sorry for the delay. Let me go ahead and admit someone in the waiting room. You are now in the Reservoir Hill Association General Membership Meeting. We are now at 7:05. We're a little bit behind, and this is the March meeting. Welcome, neighbors. Today's agenda structure is the same as it always is. We're going to begin with our board reports, where we just share a little bit about what we would like to tell you about the different work we've been up to over the last month. Then we have a very robust discussion today. We are very pleased to have Teresa Stevens from MCB Real Estate to talk about the development at Reservoir Square, which we all call Madison Park North, but now is Reservoir Square, to give us a few updates about that. And then afterwards, we'll be joined by Chad Williams from the West North Avenue Development Authority, where we can ask some questions about that development. So it's a West North Avenue day. And then, of course, we always leave time at the end of our meeting for any announcements, and anyone can feel free to share at that moment. So without further ado, we shall begin. So a couple things that I wanted to report back. We're continuing with the neighborhood vision plan work with the Neighborhood Design Center. Right now, we're in a very similar place, but moving towards deciding whether or not we want a city approved plan. So just so everyone understands, we began this process actually because of the West North Avenue Development Authority in their planning process used city approved and vision plans to make decisions about what the future of North Avenue was. And we realized we didn't have a vision plan for the community. And from that point on, about 2 years ago, we have really endeavored to make that happen for us. So we applied and we were included in a grant that the Neighborhood Design Center applied for, and now they have taken us on as a client for the next 2 years. So where we are in that stage right now is that we are trying to make recommendations for a steering committee that will lead us through that process. And we went over kind of the competencies that we were looking for steering committee members last meeting, so I won't go through that all over again. But I will say that after sharing that with the folks at the Neighborhood Design Center, they just wanted us to really think hard as to whether or not there are kind of two options to kind of do a vision plan that might not be a vision designed just for the city versus a neighborhood vision plan that's very specifically tailored to what the city needs. I don't totally grasp what that means. So the homework for the board is to read through the paperwork that they sent us, which is past vision plans, so we can compare and contrast what that means. And actually, as I say that out loud, we probably should put that up on the website so you all can see it too. So that's not on my list, but I will say one really fantastic meeting I had was with Daryl, Lisa, and Melda a couple days ago, and we solved a major issue, which was that our membership files were previously not available online. So we're actually working to, when you go on the website and you click the membership files link, you now have access to past agendas, meeting notes, and any resources that we put in that file, you will then gain access to and be able to read without that error message that says it's restricted. That was never intended. The whole point of having that general membership file was so that anyone could kind of look through very public-facing files. So when we're finished with these types of discussions, we figured out our workflow. And so after this meeting, we will put up this presentation. We will put up if Teresa Stevens or Chad Williams have a presentation to share, that will go in the file for this meeting. So that's something that Melda had built into our last website, but when we transitioned, we didn't quite figure out how to make it work. So now we have. So that was a big piece. The other thing I wanted to share is it's been a really hard 6 months advocating around the BMP tunnel project. There's definitely highs and lows. organizing with my neighbors and with you all has been one of the highs for sure. And I just wanted to shout out everyone that went and sent in testimony to the CHAP hearing today. It was in the middle of the day. It's like the worst time ever. And they sat through it. I couldn't be there. You know, I was in class. And I feel like for me as president, this is a marker for me because I felt no anxiety about that. Like, I couldn't be there, and I knew I had full faith that the people representing our community would represent it to the fullest, and that I didn't need to be there. I'm getting a little emotional, but it felt really good. And we had incredible feedback about the way that we came together as a community to really share to CHAP about our frustrations around the BMP tunnel project. So you guys know who you are that were there. Just phenomenal. I just keep getting messages about how phenomenal that experience was. And it's just feels so good to be your neighbor. So thank you all for taking out time to do that. Another neighbor has organized another event tomorrow, which will be a speak out at Carver Vocational High School. So at, I think it's 6:30 p.m., Amtrak has a planned meeting there. So the idea is to show up early to basically let people know that if you're frustrated about this process, so are we. And, you know, we just want to make sure that people know they're not alone. And that's so important. I think we have a really good organizing base in our community. We have done a really good job of coming together, of sharing strategy and working together to kind of push back on Amtrak and what they're doing. But not everyone is as blessed as we are. And so the thought was that we would show up and be together and make a little noise and make it really visible to Amtrak that we are not happy with what is happening. So even if you are coming to the meeting and you can't arrive at 5, maybe you'll go like 15 minutes earlier or whatever, come by, you know, and say hello, and make sure that other people, you know, can feel the solidarity, especially those of us who are, you know, in the thick of it quite often. It's really nice to see new faces in the crowd. But in general, I thought it would be a moment just to say, we lost our building. You know, we lost one of our neighborhood buildings 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. The way that it was communicated to us was horrible. However, we anticipated that, and we have seen that through the engagement that Amtrak has given us throughout this entire process, that they absolutely will not give us anything that we don't demand. Because, you know, every time I see someone, they say, you know, what's the point? It's going to happen. I just want to feel safe in my home. I just want to make sure my home doesn't get damaged. And what I say over and over to people that, you know, are like, you know, why protest? Or I've heard, you know, things like, that building didn't love it anyway. You know, it doesn't matter that it got taken down. And what I will say is that, you know, that old saying, if you give an inch, they'll take a mile. That's Amtrak. They have disrespected our community through their procedure in a way that is not only immoral, but quite frankly, illegal. And so what is really important is in this moment is to be steadfast and be very clear that this is not a community that you come in and bulldoze over. And so we have to, every time we can, make it clear that Reservoir Hill is not the community come in and literally railroad. So I hope that if you haven't been out to anything, and you're just you're wondering how to get involved, we're giving as many opportunities to do that. So please spread the word about tomorrow's speak out at Carver Vocational, and support Jolene, who has been working really tirelessly on organizing that, and Daryl, who has put so much time and effort in making the marketing materials for that. Okay, so finally, I just wanted to follow up on a point. A couple of families over the years, honestly, have come up to me about the lack of recreation in our community, organized recreation. There's tons of recreation. There's tons of like fun things to do independently. But to have such an amazing park to the north of us, families would love to be able to join soccer teams and baseball teams and have swim lessons and tennis lessons. And people have said that to me. And so I reached out to Parks and Rec just to inquire and find out what kind of recreation is available in Druid Hill Park or could be made available in parks. How do communities get recreation in their parks and green spaces? And it was a very enlightening meeting, although it was a disappointing meeting in that it seems as if Parks and Rec has no plans in including citywide recreation in our park anytime soon. However, it seems like they would be supportive of us organizing our own recreation. So I'm working on a poll just to see like who all is actually interested. Could we form a team of like, you know, are people interested in youth recreation? Would you want adults only things to do? Like I was thinking maybe, you know, there are elders in our community that might want to do like or not elders. I like water aerobics, but you know, like there's different types of recreation that can happen in our numerous facilities that we're connected to. So it would just be really lovely to know if there's interest. If there's not interest, obviously we don't need to push that. But if there's like 5 families that want to get together and reach out to soccer shots and have a soccer team, or maybe there's some families that like, you know, I can't go far to join a Girl Scout or a Boy Scout troop, but hey, if other families would like to do that, I would be really happy to support that. I'm really just trying to connect people that might have similar needs, but maybe have not figured out how to navigate the system to make it happen. And that is an open conversation. So if that's something that interests you, when other people are chatting, I'll put the link to the survey in the chat. But I will pass it on now. I'll move on. Drika.
Yes.
Do you have anything to report?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
But thank you for your.
Okay, I'll keep going. Lisa.
Hi. I don't necessarily have anything to report, but because it's been a little bit crazy. I did want to ask everyone if you, I'm taking attendance, so if if you don't have your full name on, I won't be able to count you. So if you want to keep a name that's not your full name, then just, shoot me a DM in the chat so I can make sure that I count you. And I'm really working hard to try to get everything up to speed. And I just want you guys to know that. So, but I do keep notes, and I'm, trying to learn the whole secretarial process. So, bear with me. It'll get better. And finally, it's a completely unrelated matter. Every year, Google has a scholarship for kids K through 12. It's $55,000, and all they have to do is draw. It's called Doodle for Google, and the deadline is Thursday. All they have to do is draw using the word Google, and they give you a theme. And so, if you have a child that's K through 12, this is a great, opportunity. That's my side gig, but this is a great opportunity for kids K through 12, and kids of all ages win. So just wanted to share that with you guys.
Thank
and
you.
that's all.
Thank you. And I think Daryl shared that opportunity with Dorothy I. Height. And I think we can put probably the link to it in the chat at some point. So if you're interested in that, what a cool opportunity to win a $55,000 scholarship is nothing to scoff at. Okay, Chet.
Hello, everyone. I put a report for February here up on the slide. Our current bank balance as of today is $8,649.59. We had income of $106.54 in February and expenses of $15.59. When you see service fee, that's the service fees from PayPal taking out or Cash App taking processing fees out of the dues income. So our overall income this month, net income, is $90.95. And I'm now starting to put monthly reports into a spreadsheet in Google Docs, which is linked through our finance folder. So hopefully those are accessible. I need to check and make sure that everyone can access that, but hopefully we can get a link to that up on the website, or at least post those in our chat space every month for our general meeting. And so if anybody has any questions, you can send me an email or send me a message in the chat, and I'm happy to answer anything.
Thank you, Chet. And I think that's something, this report, we probably can also put in the membership files.
Mhm.
Or if there's, yeah, we'll figure that out.
Yeah, it can probably be moved to a different folder. It's in finance right now.
Okay, yeah. Oh, and one quick note, very quick, because I know we're behind and our guests have arrived. But the fundraising committee is in need of support, and it's kind of tangential to your work, Chet. So I just wanted to shout out really quickly. We're gearing up for the garden and home tour, or we're kind of in full speed with the garden and home tour. And part of that, it's a big fundraiser. So if you are interested in how the bread is made, how Janae was able to raise funds for that, or maybe that's just something you actually have professional background in and you'd like to lend your support, because none of us really do. We're learning on the job. We would love to hear from you. So if you're interested in joining a fundraising committee, feel free to direct message me in the chat, or Chet, or Janae if she's on the call. I'll keep going. Oh, there is an opening. So Brandy Savarese stepped down as our historic chair. And so we are actually looking for a new chair of the historic architecture and historic preservation committee. This is a really big shoes to fill, because they will not only need to come up to speed with the Section 106 process, as we are going through that with Amtrak, but also we are continuing our goal of transitioning Reservoir Hill into a fully historic community from east to west. We want the opportunity for all homeowners to be able to get CHAP tax credits for the work that they do in maintaining their historic homes. Currently, only the East and West have the opportunity to apply for those really big tax abatements, that you get a 10-year tax abatement, up to 10 years for the improvements, the very expensive improvements that we make to our homes. So if you are interested in historic preservation, if you want to hear more, again, you can direct message, whatever. We're really interested in filling that position. Janae McLean, I know, is traveling, so I'm gonna assume, oh, she's on the call. Janae.
Hi.
Hey.
She's on the call.
Yes.
My apologies for my background and the wind and all the distractions, but it is garden and home tour season time. And thank you so much for the shout out. As noted, we are in full swing. We are looking for a number of people to undertake some of the tasks that are required in order for us to continue the tradition and also make it bigger and better than last year. So we're looking for sponsors in addition to workers to help us pull things together. So, if you have a specialty in project management, organization, fundraising, or, you're just very interested in spotlighting our neighborhood, this is going to be a great opportunity for you to get to know your neighbors and roll up our sleeves and make it an even better event than last year. So our cadence right now for meetings is different from our usual. So we're going every 2 weeks until the event. So the next meeting is going to be the 21st of March. And moving forward, we are going to be utilizing Slack as our communication tool and communication platform, so that not only do we have our touch points at every 2 weeks, we will have the ability to update everyone on progress through this through the Slack channel. So I am excited about hosting the tour this year. I hope that you're getting excited as well. Even if you're not going to be on the tour, there's always opportunity for us to beautify our neighborhood. So I just look forward to working with everybody and showing off our beautiful Reservoir Hill community. And I look forward to working with you and you joining in on the 21st. So more to follow. Thank you.
Thank you, Janae. And I just want to shout out, we're still looking for homes too. Like if you would like to be on the tour and show
Yes.
off and show out and welcome people into your home and just be fabulous. Also, reach out. I think, Janae, you have a form that somewhere to fill it out,
Yes.
to
Yes.
volunteer.
Yep,
So
that'll be coming out shortly.
cool. Awesome. All right. Lauren Muhammad, I think I saw you somewhere.
I'm here.
Awesome.
Yes.
Hey.
Well, I'm here, guys. Hello. I have a little bit of a voice. I'm gonna use what I got. The green team, the green committee has not gotten off the ground yet. And my apologies, because I had a meeting set for March 8th, but I was not able to navigate my calendar, and Keandra offered to support me, but I wasn't able to get to her. So I will be announcing a meeting date for the green team. The green committee, I keep saying green team, and I apologize, because when I'm working with kids in the school, they're green team. And I have to remember when I'm working with the adults, we're the green committee. So there are several things on my desk. I've been getting forwards from Janae and different people about grants that are available for beautification projects and things like that. So as I organize my desk with Keandra, by the end of this calendar week, I will have my calendar up and be able to be more progressive in my announcements of what the projects are. We know we have to clean the mound at the Triangle. That's the first event. But moving forward, I'm working very closely with Janae in the Home and Garden Tour. I'm excited about that. I'll be helping her with getting vendors and other projects along the route. So we got a lot of work to do. I'm really excited. I'm going to save my voice until I have my calendar up and running. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. I hope your throat feels better and you feel better if you're feeling under the weather. I can't speak.
All right.
Okay. Daryl.
Good evening, everyone. Marketing committee, we completed all of our social media flyers for our standing committees. And those are the dates of the upcoming committees. We completed a March newsletter and distributed it. Interestingly, that newsletter got about a 20% drop in what it normally does for viewership and clicks. And so I attribute it to one of two things. We haven't produced a newsletter in a while. And secondly, the newsletter's header was about the Amtrak and the tunnel. And I believe that it is possible that individuals thought that it was just like another flyer or something, insofar as opposed to an entire newsletter. He gave me the option to send it again, but I did not. But I still may, once I read some more information, be completely conversant on that. We completed social media flyers for our partners, UMNA, RH Community Partners, Western District Command Community Meeting, as well as some social media messaging for other entities, DPW Recycling and the Scholarship Center. We did artwork and spotlighted Historic Mount Royal Terrace Association spring meeting next month. And then we've done a lot of work on the BNP Tunnel Working Group in Action. We've created and distributed multiple messages for the group on social media channels. We created and distributed a letter to Dorothy R. Height both last Thursday and today, and we will be out tomorrow at 2:00 before we shoot on over to Carver Vocational for the 6 p.m. First bi-monthly public meeting of Amtrak, where we will be at 5:00. Giving our community the opportunity to speak out, to ask questions, to make suggestions, to just and receive information and be up to date, so that when we go into this meeting, we will know. All of us will be informed as to where we are, for when they start their presentation, which oftentimes it has been our experience, it's not much information for us to consume. On the next slide, I just did some examples of artwork and flyering for this for this month. The events committee garden home tour subcommittee meeting down in the bottom right corner should say the 21st for the next meeting. And on the next slide is just more messaging. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah, lots of great information. Remember, we populate our calendar on our website to try to put all these dates on there. You can subscribe to our calendar and add it to your personal calendar to keep up to date with all these things. And tomorrow is recycling. We have recycling every week now, so it's not every other week. That's a big change. So a little less stress on having to make sure everything gets out. So just wanted to make sure people knew that. Thank you, Daryl. Rolando.
Good evening, everyone. I will be giving Reservoir Hill Community Incident Report for the period of January 28 to February 24, 2024. We had 1 rape, 1 stolen auto, 1 carjacking, 1 larceny from auto, and 2 residential burglary. No homicide, no shooting, no stabbing, no discharge, no commercial robbery, no aggravated assault, no home invasion, no handgun violation, and there was no alarm or fire. The Western District is having its first Easter egg hunt, and they will have it in March 30th, starting 12 p.m. at Fenton Douglas High School, which is located at 2301 Grand Falls Parkway. Any questions, you can direct it to Sergeant McMillan or Officer Lewis. I will have this posted in our newsletter or on the website for anyone that will be interested in the Easter hunt. What else?
Your upcoming meeting, Rolando?
Yes, please be advised, starting this month, we'll be having our safety and community meeting every 3rd Monday at 6:30. That will be every 3rd Monday of the month. Recently, there's been complaint about teenagers in German Park and around the commercial establishment in Linden, the neighborhood grocery store. I don't remember the proper name now. We all know it as Linden Market. the owner's been very active in the sense of trying to keep that area clear of the teenagers or any illegal activities. From my understanding, they have not seen any actual drug transaction going on there. And they're keeping vigilant of everything that's going on in the neighborhood. Basically, that's my report. That's it. We had 6 incident in our community between January 28th and February 24th of this year.
Yep.
That's
And
it.
Thank you, Rolando. And I just want to reiterate that we do have a contact with the Baltimore City Police Department. They did attend our meeting last month. Sergeant McMillan would have come tonight. He's just in training, and I understand frustration with folks in German Park. However, I think the better way to go about advocating for either security footage or a police presence somewhere is to work together as neighbors. So if you could join that meeting, that safety and security meeting, to strategize and think through how we approach those issues, I think it would be a better way to present ourselves as a community, rather than to reach out individually. Not to say that you can reach out to whomever you want. However, if we're a little bit more organized, I think they would be a little bit more strategic with how we do things. Specifically, like demanding that an officer be at certain locations in the community, I think might not be appropriate because of the scale of the issue within our community. For example, people are dealing in other communities with a lot more violence, where police officers really need to be available to them. And so we just really need to be mindful of that. And also be mindful that when you call the police on someone, that you must be really sure or pretty confident that they're actually committing a crime, because we've heard reports of men resting in the park, or men simply reading a book in the park, and someone has called the police on them. And that is really inappropriate because it makes the park an unsafe place for them. So I think we have, people that are already either current law enforcement, within current law enforcement, people who are retired law enforcement officers who are in our community, who will be part of that safety and security committee and really can think through how you can assess those kind of situations, how to really think through when to involve police and when not to, and how to use footage and other data to really make better assessments of whether or not something is occurring. So I just wanted to share that with you. We're seeing these emails and we are following up on them, but so far the police have not seen any evidence of police activity in German Park. No drug activity in German Park. So please join the Safety and Security Committee meeting that's on Monday of next week. If you continue to have concerns about it, we're not trying to invalidate you, but also trying to be mindful of community members who have been targeted in this analysis of the situation. Okay, with that, thank you. And thank you for, I see Teresa, I see Chad in the chat, in the meeting. Thank you for your patience. Without further ado, I do want to welcome Teresa Stevens to the call from MCB Real Estate. Teresa, I'm not sure if you have a slideshow. I'm going to stop my share so we can see you. And hi, thank you so much for making yourself available today and many times before for kind of a quick update on what's going on with Reservoir Square.
Sure, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I do have a couple of slides to run through. So if I can share my screen, I can pop that up. And with me this evening, Ryan Petrowski, our architect with Hanbury, who you may have seen at some other meetings, and Drew Tilden with Rosenberg Martin Greenberg, as well, is here as well. So let's see, share screen.
And I apologize. I've been misnaming you this whole time. It's Teresa Stegman, not Stevens. I don't know where I got that from. Apologies, Teresa.
That's a first. So I don't know where. But again, thank you so much for having me. So I wanted to real quickly orient everybody. So tonight I'm going to be giving an update on where things are with the townhomes, and then looking at the future phases, more specifically speak to parcel A, because we have some upcoming entitlement processes where we wanted to make sure that we spoke to you first. If you're in a position to give support, that would be great. But at the very least, wanted to brief the approvals that we'll be seeking. And then our plan is, and we're coordinating with the school, with the councilman's office, to also identify a date in the near future where we can give a more, have a fuller time to really discuss all aspects of the development. And specifically, I know folks are anxious to hear about plans for the grocery store. So we're planning to cover that more comprehensively in another meeting. So hopefully we'll be able to announce that meeting in the next couple of weeks. But as an update on the townhomes, first of all, just thank you everybody for your patience. I know to get to this point where you are starting to see townhomes under construction has taken, I think, longer than anybody imagined it would, which was a confluence of permitting delays, hitting utilities in the street that weren't on any plans. But thank you. So the first, we did sell the first lot to Ryan Homes February 8th. So we had foundations in the ground, and there were a bunch of trucks on site today. You may have noticed. So all the lumber for the first stick, which is really the first like cluster of 7 homes, all the lumber for that got delivered today. So in the very next couple of days, you may start to see the framing actually go up, which is tremendous and just a really great milestone. So that'll start to go up shortly, April 1st. And some folks have called me wondering when the website will be available for the townhomes, because hopefully there are members of the community that would be interested in purchasing them. That the plan, I spoke with Ryan Homes today, and they said their plan is to get that up April 1st. And then home sales would start the second half of June. So Janae, they are interested in participating in the garden and home tour, hopefully to provide a tour of the model home. But if it's not yet ready for folks to walk through, they will at least have somebody stationed outside that can, do an exterior tour and speak about the opportunities. So depending on how swift those sales are, then the next, again, stick of homes would start to go up late summer. That is the general update on the townhomes. Before I move on to, and I had a floor plan up here because I feel like I always get a question on floor plans and bedrooms and everything else. But before I move on, were there any questions on the townhome phase?
I was just curious, do you have an estimate around how much they'll be selling for?
Yeah,
Right.
I asked Ryan Homes today to confirm that, and they said upper 300s would be the starting point, and they are between 3 and 4 bedroom townhomes. Some will have the option, actually it's like a 50-50 split of homes that will have 1-car garages versus 2-car garages. And that'll, in terms of, what's available, that'll be dictated by market demand and everything else, but they're around 1,600 square feet. Yeah. And yeah, and if anybody has, I already got one concern over the weekend about noise, which was actually related to something else. I think a tree fell down. But if anybody ever does have a concern or question about construction, our partner is very good in their post, they're making sure their vendors know about when they should be working and what the working hours are. But if you ever have a concern, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, because I can be that conduit to the home builder to make sure that everything is going according to code and that everybody is able to cohabitate well. All right, so Mars.
Oh, hi, it's Janae. I just wanted to thank you for thinking of us in advance for the garden and home tour, and just let you know that I'll reach out to you for more specifics, just to nail everything down at a later date. But thank you in advance for participating in the garden and home tour.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, we were hoping we were going to be able to do that last year, but we'll be there this year.
All right. Teresa, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of feedback are you getting regarding the sale so far, as far as interest?
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten calls because I think my phone number's out there in the universe, and I've been directing them to Ryan Homes, and then Ryan Homes talking to them. They have a pretty robust they call it, their VIP list, which is basically anybody that's expressed interest in buying a home, and they said it's very robust, and they anticipate this community being successful. I mean, part of that is there's no supply right now in the city for new construction, besides, I think another development down by the water. So there still is a very healthy demand for these homes, and feel good about the demand and their ability to sell them. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to have the opportunity to cover, and do I have like 5 minutes left, or? Okay, is parcel A. So we presented this back in November at the in-person community meeting. Working with Hanbury, we've designed a 4-story building, office building, that is a build-to-suit opportunity with a ground floor cafe. So we're in the process now where we're going to be going for our BMCA approvals and planning commission on the design. So I wanted to preview what we'll be seeking, and also revisit. So the last design you would have seen would have been, again, back in November. This was the site plan that we shared showing the overall master planning for this parcel. So as you may recall, we went through a very extensive master planning process, because while we are, speaking to an office user, we didn't want to just plan for that one user. We wanted to make sure we were being forward thinking and being able to accommodate multiple types of uses and not selling the site short. So we have a plan where there are essentially 2 buildings and an opportunity to do shared parking. So the yellow building is the office building that we are seeking approval for now, and then a future phase would be this purple building here. So again, trying to create a solid street wall along North Avenue with the opportunity to activate the ground floor, and then keeping a footprint that will eventually allow for a precast garage. So since presenting to you and presenting to UDAP, we did get some feedback that we've incorporated. So one of the big changes was UDAP asked that we look at moving the garage. So we did shift that down to create more of a buffer, so there will be an opportunity for more tree plantings. And that, you can see here, it provides the opportunity for more deciduous trees. And here is a rendering of what that'll look like with full, when the trees are in full growth. And then we also refined the height of the building a bit. So and Drew, please step in if I misspeak on anything. The zoning allows 60 feet by right. because of the way we had to design the first floor space and loading and the needs of the tenant, we are seeking a 6-foot variance, so a total height of 66 feet and 3 inches. And here are some elevations showing what that will look like. North elevation, and then the east elevation, there's a cutout where the garage will go. And the final thing I'll note before jumping to some other renderings is, while we are planning for the garage, we may need to do an interim condition of surface parking. But again, with everything planned so that eventually you can have a garage there that can support more density and a variety of uses. So we're working through that with the tenant right now based on budget and a couple of other considerations. But we are trying to plan for a couple different outcomes. So here's another, so this is looking from North Avenue to the northeast, a view of the entrance. Another change from the original presentation and based on feedback from UDAP. So this is the outdoor seating for the cafe. We planned for the cafe so that there's a separate entrance, so the building would not need to be open for that tenant to operate. So hopefully they'll be successful enough that they can operate outside normal business hours. Originally there was a ramp that went basically where the sidewalk level seating is right now. So instead of that ramp being in the front, we pushed it to the back, so it provides another opportunity for outdoor seating and attempts to, I guess, reduce any barrier between the sidewalk and the cafe. Here's a view of the lawn. Again, this may end up being a temporary surface lot, and a view from Dorothy I. Height. And then just a summary of the approvals we'll be seeking for the building. So again, we're looking for a 6-foot variance, 6 foot 3 inches variance on the height. Because this is such an oddly shaped parcel, we are seeking a rear yard setback. We're looking for a 2-foot difference in the off-street loading requirement. And with the street parking, based on the first phase, if we're able to move forward with the garage, we would essentially be over parking the first phase, but again, that is to then accommodate additional density at a later date. So while technically it's over parked for the first phase, once additional density were added, it would actually not be over parked. And then we have, we're tentatively looking at planning commission for April 18th, which is to get final development plan approval or subdivision approval. Because when the Madison Park, at the time, the Madison Park North plans were approved, the lots for what we're calling Lot A and for the mixed use parcel, they were just shown as blank lots. So we have to go back to planning with the actual plan for the building. So Drew, Ryan, did I miss anything that we should cover?
You covered everything perfectly.
Okay.
Agreed.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. And we wanted to reserve about 5 to 10 minutes for discussion or just for questions. If anyone does anyone have any questions about Teresa's presentation? I was personally curious because I did watch the first review of the building by, I think, ADAP, is that how you say it? The committee
UDAP.
that looks, UDAP, thank you. And they had quite a bit of concerns about the, you know, architecture of the building. And I wondered, could you I know it's probably a lot of different changes that happened, but could you walk us through a couple of the changes that you made in response to that, if you did?
Yeah. Ryan, would you mind if I throw that to you?
No, not at all. Happy to talk to that. So I think a lot of the comments that we received from UDAP were looking overall at the master plan of the site. And as Teresa mentioned, some of the constraints that we have in a very interesting shaped site. You know, this is a part of Baltimore where the north, south, east, west grid comes together with some of the grid that starts to shift with the terrain and Druid Park and everything. So we have this very interesting, not square building. I think speaking of the master plan, that some of the revisions were trying to get that extra buffer for the garage without impeding on a potential phase 2, still having the proper clearances for that garage. So that was one of the first steps we took, really going back, adding that 15-foot buffer. What we also did with the garage is, and it may be hard to see in some of the images, but originally it was basically 3 stories of a precast garage that was kind of right adjacent to Dorothy I height there. And what we did is we changed our circulation in the garage. We moved some of the vertical stair towers and elevators to the south side of the garage facing towards North Avenue. So we really reduced that perceived height along North Avenue. Originally, again, it was 3 stories and now it feels more of a 2-story. We are looking at some additional options in art or mural. As far as the building, I think most of the architecture was well received on the building itself. We did have just some refinements as far as constructability goes with certain materials. You see the palette is very Baltimore. We wanted to be very Baltimore and locate in the context from the very beginning, especially being right adjacent to Dorothy I Heights. I mean, bringing in the brick, bringing in the metal panel. So it's really just been refinements as far as construction goes, budget goes, just cleaning up some of the details, as we call it.
Any other questions? Now's your chance to get all the questions answered. Any gossip you've heard, any concerns you have, witnessing the construction. It would be wonderful, Ryan or Teresa, or I think I saw Drew pop up for a second, but is there, if we did see something as I know how to reach you all, but if any resident was passing by, they saw something that they were concerned about or had a question about construction or whatever the case might be, what's the best way to reach out and say, you know, for example, I'll give you a clear example. When one day, sometimes the streets will just be randomly closed and it's like, oh, does this have to do with MCB? Is this another construction? Was there emergency? You know, people are, I'll say I sometimes am on edge because we've had several situations where our water, you know, was contaminated or something happened and it's unclear what's going on. If people were curious about that or they just were concerned about something that they saw on the site, what's the best way to reach out to you all?
Yeah, and the best thing to do is to email me, and I'll drop my email in the chat.
Thank you.
You can email me, you can call me either at my desk line or my cell. And if I'm not if it's not, you know, something related to what our construction crews are doing, I can talk to Ryan Holmes. Like, for instance, this weekend, somebody did email me to say, hey, you know, please make sure your construction crews aren't working at night. So I reached out right away to everybody and, you know, then through some internet sleuthing, figured out that it was a tree that fell down that wasn't related to us. But point is, like, even on the weekend, like, I will reach out to our crews and they respond right away to say, like, you know, we spoke to our teams, it wasn't us. We checked our cameras, we didn't see anything. So yeah, always feel free to reach out to me.
Awesome. So I see Eric has a hand up.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for the presentation. Quick question for y'all. Can you, I think I missed, how many residential units will be in this when it's fully built? And then second is related to the kind of parking concept. Have you considered at all the opportunities for on-street parking and conducted a study, talked with DDOT or the parking authority on how that could kind of be leveraged to support the operations of the building?
Versus doing on-site parking?
Yeah, or at least limiting the on-site parking and leveraging the on-street parking. Since I know that it seems like you're going for that variance request to increase the number of on-site parking.
Yeah, and so if we were just building parking for this, and again, we may just end up doing a surface lot, depending on the budget. So if we, were to just do parking and all we were thinking was it was just going to be this building, yeah, it would be overparked and that garage wouldn't make sense. But the idea was there may be an opportunity right now, again, depending on budget, that we can put all the infrastructure in place now. So that way it's, it creates the building blocks we need to then come back and add more to the site later. It's, it's going to be more difficult to have surface parking and then come back and do a garage, and then where you relocate those people. So we're working through all that right now, but I can be very emphatic when I say I do not support building more parking than necessary. And we've looked at a lot of options. So even when this will be built out to full capacity and you look at the parking ratios, it will not be overparked by any means.
And we'll have to wrap up because I know that, thank you so much. Because I know we're at 7 or a little behind because you started late, and thanks for your patience. But I see a comment in the chat from chat that says, not a question, but a comment: the construction fence along Park Avenue blows over on a regular basis and probably needs to be shored up somehow. This is just sharing.
Okay, I will talk to our team about that. I know on Park Avenue, it's been moved back where the townhomes are, but where you have the retaining pond, yeah, I will speak to them about looking at stabilizing that.
Yeah, and it's both segments. It's both the
Okay.
segment close to the road and by the sidewalk.
Will do.
Okay, final chance for any burning questions or comments.
And do you do letters of support for BMZ requests, or?
Yeah, we have a very specific process on how we do that. So,
Okay.
However, I'm actually going to kind of volley that back to the Planning and Development Committee because this might be thought of a little bit differently. So generally what we do is when a development is up, especially for a variance, we ask that there be conversations with all the residents that are most directly impacted by that development. However, because this is such a huge development that really impacts so many people, we might want to approach it a little differently. And I will leave that's, I think, a Planning and Development Committee question, but yes, we do. And the way that we do it is written out on our website,
Okay.
under the Planning and Development Committee. And I can, if Melda, or if someone can put that in the chat, or I can email you directly and just share that process with you. But we try to be very democratic and fair and use the same process every single time, no matter if you're a big or a small developer. And the idea is that we, as an organization of residents, we don't make decisions for people, for our neighbors who are more impacted by the end result of a change. So we try to poll the most impacted neighbors to be able to say, yes, we'd like to support that. And I can't speak to the feelings on that, but I know that Arlen regularly holds a very popular meeting for planning and development. So I imagine that they will steer us in the right direction of how we'll approach it. So when is the timeline, though? That would be good to know.
Yeah, we are on the April 2nd docket for BMCA.
Okay.
And for Planning Commission, we're targeting April 18th.
Okay, thank you. You did say that in the presentation. Okay. So it's kind of on a very tight schedule for us because we're volunteers. That's like in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So that's a tight turnaround for us. But I know Arlen, he's a pro at this. Like this committee has approached these situations so many times. So I feel confident they'll figure out how to approach it. If we can't make the April 2nd, I'm sure we'll be able to make April 18th. We try to give it about a month to be able to write a letter of support.
Okay, awesome. And well, when we're looking at the future phases as well, we'll keep that in mind.
Awesome.
So we're, you know, I'm not putting anybody in a bind.
And side note, I found out that all your emails to me was going to the spam. That's why I couldn't see it. And everyone's like, oh, she did respond. And I'm like, what are you talking about? No, she didn't. I'm emailing everybody. And I would just want to apologize for that. It was in my
no
spam.
worries. I
Yeah.
figured that. Yeah. All good.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us and feel free to stay on. And hopefully we'll see you again soon.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye. And thank you for your patience, Chad. Williams of Wanata, you're up next. And I think I also saw some of your colleagues on the call. Hey, Chad. Do you also need
Nah, that would just take too long. What's
okay,
up,
cool.
everyone? Good evening. How's
Good
everybody
evening.
doing? Peace and blessings. So this evening, I want to go through about 5 things here. I'm going to talk about our grant application process and where that is, our FY25 budget, alterations to our enabling legislation, some procurement activities that will be moving forward to the board, our comprehensive plan rollout, and obviously the Amtrak tunnel. So I'll try to do that in about 10 minutes. So as you know, we did a grant application process started in early December. I believe December 1st or 4th. That ended up closing at the end of December. Staff has diligently gone through about 64 applications. We had about 89 individuals participate or businesses participate in our pre-submission grant application process. Over the past couple of weeks, we have narrowed that down to a short list for all of our 6 focus areas and non-focus areas. And we plan to present our recommended grant awards to the board on Monday, March 25th in a special board meeting, which will be virtual. That will be posted on our website for people that want to participate in that. The only focus area that we will not be making a recommendation to is the 600 block of West North Avenue, which is obviously in your neighborhood. It's right across the street from the MCB Realty property that's going up. What we plan to do is reach out to Keandra and actually what we want to do is have the shortlisted developers do a presentation to the Reservoir Hill Neighborhood Association, and then in consultation with you, make a determination on which developer you think is the best to redevelop that site. And so the short list of those developers will come out on March 25th, and then we'll work together to schedule a time period for that. So that's where we are in the grant process and how that affects your particular neighborhood association. For FY25, as you know, last year, FY24, the governor and the General Assembly appropriated $11.4 million to the West North Avenue Development Authority. 10 million of that 11 million was for grants and the remaining was for staff and general operations. This year, the governor allowances $17.1 million. Of that, $15 million will be set aside for grants, and the remaining amount is for staff. We last year had an FTE count of 9 staff members. We will be increasing that to 14 staff members and maybe 1 contractual position. And this is the max capacity, as I had believe I started it, I didn't want the agency to grow no more than 15 individuals, and I'm pretty firm with that. I want us to be effective and efficient, but also lean, and making sure that we're effective in what we can do. So that's where we are with the FY25 budget. And as you know, the General Assembly will start to really focus on the budget come crossover, where all bills cross over from the Senate and the House on next Monday. The next thing is that there is SB 1005 and HB 1427 in the Senate and the House. Those are the West North Avenue Development Authority's alteration bills. When the West North Avenue Development Authority was created in 2021, it had a limited scope and focus, primarily to develop a comprehensive plan, which we submitted to the General Assembly on January 31st, and that's also on my agenda to talk to. But we submitted that plan, and then also we asked for an opinion letter from the Office of the Attorney General that we got in November 2022 that defined the intent of the General Assembly. However, that needed to be codified. And as a result, this legislation codifies the Office of the Attorney General's letter, codifying us to provide funding, provide loans, grants. It will also allow the authority to work in conjunction with the city on condemnation, to hopefully move properties forward where we have owners that are just sitting on vacant property in West North Avenue. And then also further defines the mission and powers and duties of the authority. That was approved through the Finance Committee today in the Senate side. On the House side, it's in the Ways and Means Committee. And hopefully if that passes and goes through, we'll have a more defined, codified authority. And one of the things I do want to say is that this bill is really a microcosm of all the powers and duties of the Maryland Economic Development Corporation. So it's a very significant bill that's going through the General Assembly, and it's just a focused microcosm in our area in the 40th District. And I think we really need to thank Senator Antonio Hayes and Delegate Marlon Ambry for pushing this through. Next, on our special board meeting, there'll be a couple of procurements that will be working to get approved. They all have gone through a RFQ process. A few we have used our exemption from the Maryland procurement law to actually just bring those straight forward to the board. However, I'll list those. One is for our website and branding team. That's HVD Studios. They've been our website and branding entity since we started when we hired them in October. So those are the ones who have done the website that you see. They design our flyers. They design our postcards and flyers. That is a Black woman and Black male sister and brother team. They're out of Columbia, Maryland. So they're actually a sister and brother. They're just not sister and brothers. But HVD Studios. We also have selected or recommending Jazz Power Management as our event planner. Jazz Power Management is a 3-person African-American female firm. They have home offices right there in Reservoir Hill at 1461, I believe, Utah. So they're local to Reservoir Hill, and they will be hopefully the board would approve, and they will be our event planner. Second, we are doing a sole source agreement to have a grant management system submittable. It's a well-known nationally submitted grant management system. A few agencies in the state of Maryland use that. We reviewed that and another grant management system, and we decided to move forward with that. And then the next two is that we ended up retaining a lobbyist for this session to help with this big bill to get pushed through. The cost of that will be on the agenda. And then, as you know, we in April of last year, we brought on a outside general counsel to help with our bylaws and our procurement exemption, and we will continue to retain that outside law firm for those similar activities and other advisory services. Next, the comprehensive plan rollout. I know I haven't synced with Teresa Stevens. That's where you got the Stevens from, our public affairs officer on our side, on when that will happen. But I think we are somewhere between April 6th and April 20th on doing that at Unity Hall. I know we got to get some things, some logistics arranged. However, we will be mailing mailers and notifications to all addresses in the 21216 and the 21217 zip codes. Last time when we did the meeting at Unity Hall in December of last year, we only did mailings within the target and buffer zone of the authority. Obviously, that would leave out some folks that may just be a few blocks out of the buffer zone. So this way, we wanted to make sure that we get those 2 zip codes. And because West North Avenue's revitalization is a catalyst impact for both of these zip codes, we think it's important that everyone, even though they're not within the resident coordinating legislation defined, but they at least have a say in what's going on and hear what's going on West North Avenue. So that will be coming out, and definitely stay tuned to our website. And then last, for the Amtrak, we've been working with the neighborhood association. I think it's developed to be a really great relationship. We're all on the same page with this. Some things have gone our way, some things haven't. One of the things that we're drawing the line on right now is really the building design for the intermediate ventilation building. I know that there was a chat meeting today and discussions with that. I was aware of what the chat board was going to do already, and so we were very supportive of that. One of the things we've also done is received a letter from your neighborhood association requesting $25,000 to hire a bondsman that will support you in your activities, and we will be working to deliver that micro grant to your neighborhood associations to support those activities. That's my presentation with no slides, and I'm ready to take questions.
That was a lot of information. So I'm sure people have a lot of questions, but one thing I wanted to be really clear, because not all of us are not all of us remember so clearly the different address numbers. So when you said 600 West North Avenue, that's what we call Catherine of Alexandria, what was once a daycare center that has been vacant for, I think, the last 3 years or 4 years. And a lot of neighbors have been advocating around that building being maintained. So it sounds like there is a high possibility it will be redeveloped. So that's the location that was referenced about that potential grant going out to someone to develop that. So any questions?
Roland has a question.
Oh, Rolando, sorry.
I just want a clarity. Did you, Mr. Chat William, did you say 1461 Utah?
Yes.
Okay, 1461 Utah is not in Reservoir Hill, sir. So I just want that too.
Nah, maybe I'm not pronouncing it right.
Okay.
EUTAW is
Yeah.
not in Reservoir Hill?
It's
No,
in
that's
Hill.
in Bolton. It's not in Reservoir. The Reservoir is start from 2200 block of Utah.
Well, where'd I come?
Unless they're 24.
1461?
Unless it's 2461.
It may be 2461.
Yeah, unless that's their address, it would be in Bolton.
All I know is when I looked in the map, it's in Reservoir Hill.
Okay.
So maybe I got the address wrong.
Okay.
Secondly, the meeting that you have at April 6th at Unity Hall, what time?
So when we decide on the date, because it's affected on when we can, adequately get out the mailing, I believe it will be from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m.
So April 6th is not definite?
No.
Okay, all right. Okay, please let us know as soon as you get that date correct, so I can inform the individual that I told you about. Okay,
For sure.
all right, they're waiting patiently.
I'm sure, my brother. I'm sure. All right. Anybody else?
It might be too early to ask this question, because I know there's a lot of moving pieces. But in an earlier presentation or conversation, you talked a little bit about the possibility of having some kind of like a boot camp for small business owners, or an opportunity for people to really get the background and education and skills to potentially apply to future grant cycles. Do you have any more information about that?
No. So what? Yes, we will be doing that. Our process is to get through this first round of grant cycle for our agency. Once we make those awards, those unfortunate businesses and entities that were not selected to receive an award, primarily as a result of the application process or financials, will go through a business development program that we will set up in partnership with other nonprofit or state agencies to help them support and apply for the next round. Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you for shopping at the Home Depot.
Uh-oh. I'm gonna mute.
Haven't been there in a while, but okay.
Okay, so if there are no other questions, I just wanted to share a little clarity around the grant that you referenced for the community. So basically, one of our residents were advocated for the possibility for us to apply for a grant that can support gathering more information and understanding around the impact of the tunnel on our community. And so that's what he was talking about, the $25,000 grant. That also is in relationship to quite a few members of the community saying that they wanted a fund for support to be able to donate to, and so this fund potentially can help get us started in being able to really afford the kind of analysis and background information that we would need to better understand what we have ahead of us. So I just wanted to give some clarity. It's a large sum of money. So on our end, we are doing a lot of homework to make sure that we steward that that grant in the most professional way. And so we've reached out to the Community Law Center for support. And then also, you know, that we've done our work to become a nonprofit, to get all of our financials in order. Chet specifically has done a lot of work doing that. And so we know we're going to need an additional steering committee to steward that in partnership with Chet, so that he's not taking that on by himself. But we're really seeing this fund as being probably something that would be spent down pretty quickly. So it wouldn't be something that would be drawn upon multiple times. But more information to come from that. And I think that's something that the BP Tunnel Working Group will really be thinking through and talking through in partnership with our officers, obviously, and our board of directors. But if you have any questions, concerns about that, please feel free to reach out or ask it now, and we can talk more. But any other questions generally while we have Chad and his team on the call? Oh, I have one question. The final plan that you sent to the state, is that on your website now? Can we see it?
No, it's unfortunately not. However,
Okay.
No, I can send you a link that you can share
Awesome.
with everybody from our drive. I can do that right now.
Awesome.
It's just a large file, and we haven't just having trouble loading it onto the website right now.
Okay, awesome. That would be
But I'll send that to you right now.
Thank you.
No, I can drop it in the chat. I can just stay on and drop it in the chat.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, just give me a minute. Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. Any other questions? I'll sign off my face and drop this in the chat pretty soon.
you know, it's late and we're past time, well past time, but it was a really fruitful presentation. And so if you don't have any questions currently, but you might look through that presentation and have them, you certainly can reach out directly to the Winata team for any of those questions. And certainly we hope to hear back from you, you know, while there are continuous changes around the West North Avenue corridor, especially after the announcements are made, because obviously we're all curious about who was granted these funds for development along the corridor, what projects were basically granted and what projects may not have been, if they're, you know, what the timelines for development, those types of things that probably won't come out until those announcements have been made publicly. So we'd love to hear back from you when that does happen. But yeah, thank you so much for attending. And we're going to move on to closing out our meeting.
I just dropped it in the chat. There you
Oh,
go.
thank you. Okay, awesome. I see a couple faces on the call that usually make announcements, so I'll make the shout out for anyone that would like to announce or share anything to the group before we close out.
Hey, Keandra, Councilman Torrance. Good seeing you guys. Some of you like, from this morning or this afternoon. We had fun together. I'm just letting you know that we are moving forward with some looking at traffic calming plans on the eastern side of the neighborhood now with Mount Royal Terrace as well. Hold on. We're working on that, and in addition to that, we're going to have some minor repairs to some of the speed humps that have been eroding because of people going over them. So we'll be working on that, as well as we are aware of the public safety concerns in the neighborhood. We have been working actively with surveillance in the area with the Western District. So I just want to make sure people understand, like, we're aware, we're watching. We do have a plan. We just asked that you call 911 and 311 with specific information. I can tell you that Mr. Maxwell tells me every time your post officer stops in certain places, as he has been instructed to. We've had the park rangers there. What I will say is please activate the space too, so that people don't stand there as well. We have been working with store owners in the area to make sure people are not loitering as well. So we're being active. In addition to that, for our babies who are coming to Dorothea Heights from south of North Avenue, we are working hard to get finalized plans for the red light cameras so that people are not running those lights while they're crossing. And then we've requested an additional crossing guard as well, so that they can have that access point as well. So I just want to make sure all that you guys know what's happening so that people are safe. I think that's it. And if you're doing any proactive planning, please put your permits in for Juneteenth now. A number of people have already sent them in. I just want to make sure you guys are on the list if you're going to plan anything, so that we are accounting for with all the city resources that we have.
Thank you. And I saw that Juneteenth, it's going to be at Fram in the Park again.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you are planning, RHA is not planning anything for Juneteenth this year, but because we're doing the garden home tour at the beginning of the month, but if anyone else on the call, certainly get it in.
Yes.
And I had a question about the traffic calming piece, because we had, as I think you know this, we had a resident that was concerned about parking and traffic calming on Newington and Brookfield, I believe, the streets.
Yeah, we have to have a conversation with DOT about the feasibility of it.
Okay.
And that's because potentially it would cause the street probably be a one-way.
Right. Yeah.
So that's a conversation I have with neighbors about, are you used to entering the neighborhood this way?
Right.
And will that be feasible again? So that's part of that.
Okay.
And then also we're still dealing with, you guys are supposed to be getting Georgia Park Lake Drive restored next year or two. But right now we are restoring the walking paths around the reservoir so that when AFRAM happens, you can walk around that reservoir and there'd be no impediment. And then Linden's going to be activated again so you can enter. We're also installing a red light camera there because people are running through that red light. So we were trying to change the little habits. But you guys will have full access back again through Linden to the park again with new grass and everything.
That's awesome. Okay, great news. But it would be wonderful to kind of I think honestly, the months are going by way too fast, but to check back in from that DOT conversation where we were kind of having that big comprehensive look at the changes to traffic patterns. I know we needed to circle back about that. And so just making sure that the conversations that are happening on Mount Royal, that are happening in the middle of the community, and then also the bike path conversation, that we are thinking of them, and I imagine you are, but that we're thinking of them holistically. So it would be wonderful. I guess the answer to that is to invite DOT back to the meeting and have a conversation with them.
Yeah, and that it's a conversation that they're having because even with the pushback this afternoon from me and others about where Amtrak is trying to have the opening on Linden Avenue, that's a
Right.
huge concern, right?
Right.
Because there's a lot of traffic being bottlenecked on Linden. And then the other piece is that with Reservoir Square, they're opening up new streets access to alleviate that pressure. It's just, for me, is the babies getting to the park and getting to that school that we need to really have a strong consideration for.
That's right. And then the timing of that crosswalk on North Avenue is abysmal. Like I have to jet across that when I'm trying to take the bus, so I can only imagine little legs trying to cross. So I see Rolando and then Lisa.
I have one question, Councilman. Are they reinstalling the original fence that they took down?
Per the law, we have to.
Okay.
So the stonemasons are getting ready to restore that path. They've already started bringing in the stones. We are going to put it to the original piece until we decide to. Because technically, one portion of the loop will be where the boathouse will be. So we are having those conversations right now about what does it look like. The retention pond is going to stay there too. So that'll still be there because they're going to do the wetlands and everything. That saves us several millions of dollars just to keep it there. So we're restoring everything, but we're going to keep that portion there so that because we have to plan for where we put the dock and the boat pier and everything else for people to go in the water, and then plan for how we create access to the walking pier to go across the water, and then the new wetlands. So like we're getting there. Like in 2 to 3 years, you will have a brand spanking new attraction at the park.
That's exciting. Lisa.
Hi, I just wanted to thank the councilman for his advocacy today at the hearing. He came in like a whirlwind and basically set the tone for the entire meeting. And he really represented for our neighborhood and the kids in particular. So, everything thereafter was just sort of gravy because he was unequivocal and made the case on behalf of our neighborhoods. So I just want to make sure that we thank him for, again, his advocacy on our behalf.
Thank you, Councilman. I can't wait to watch the tape. I've heard that your speech was incredible. So definitely thank you so much for your
I
advocacy.
appreciate y'all, and y'all pay me to do that. But I'm being honest. So, as I said, we're trying to figure out as many ways to hold them accountable. We are working with finalizing through housing a fine for them actually doing demolition early.
Okay.
We're trying to figure out what that looks like.
Okay.
Because they did it a day early. So normally it's like $1,500. I mean, it's $1,500, but it's still a point to be made, especially with the contractor. But I do have to set a tone that they can't do that again. In addition to that, we still have a number of things that's happening along that corridor. So I just want to make sure you guys understand, like, we're still making sure that when they do the medical center portion, that it's not a day early and that the water's being poured.
Councilman, it was 2 days earlier.
Well, send me video of the day before because I got a video of the day. I got video of the day before. If you got a video of the day before the day.
Actually, if you look at the correction that they put on
The sign.
and the sign, it now says 20. Okay.
Send me a picture.
Yeah.
That's great because I can send that right over to the Department of Housing and Community Development.
Plus, the way they did it was very unsafe to the pedestrian and for the vehicles that was driving by there.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah,
Because
Rolando has an excellent video.
debris fell in the street.
Please forward said edit videos to me. Have Mel to send them, please.
Okay. That's an inside joke because we all know that Melda secretly is going to be the one sending everything over. That's why we all laughed. Any other comments? Anything to
Yeah.
share?
Yeah, I think my hand was getting lost in the wood in the
Oh,
background.
sorry.
That's
I'm sorry.
okay. That's okay. But I just want to reiterate what Lisa had said. I want to thank Lisa, her protege, Carson, who is also happens to be her daughter, Councilman Torrance, Kim Forsythe, all came out. We even had support from Bolton Hill. So it was a really, really effective chat meeting today. And can't forget Lauren. When the representatives from Amtrak first came in, they were very vocal about it, 60% done, as if it's done and over with, but that narrative changed by the end of that meeting. So thank you all very, very much. I see that Eric Johnson is here. 2024 Linden. I've been told that that burned out building has been sold and work is ongoing. I'll have to do further investigation to make sure that that is the case. I see, Eric, do you know your neighbor, Michelle? She's the one.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so you can verify the work is going on, or?
Yes, I can verify. I saw a demo crew out there saying that they gunned it out. So good news to see that building finally being restored.
Absolutely, another eyesore gone. Thank
Yes,
you.
finally. Thank you.
Thank you. And that was from tireless community advocacy, I'm sure, putting some pressure on it for sure. Yeah.
One other thing, the city council president candidates have they want to have a forum within Reservoir Hill, and I guess we need to coordinate that because the synagogue Betham, Rabbi Berg has said that they would be open to having that forum there.
Okay.
Okay.
That would be awesome. If anyone's interested in helping with coordinating that, if that's something that sounds interesting to you, please do reach out to the board, to Arlen, to any of us. I'm sure we will connect you. Daryl Davis left a comment. They began demolition on the Linden Avenue property, but have not been back to the property in some time. They moved all debris to the rear of the property, which is causing a nuisance. Thanks, Daryl.
311.
Yeah, definitely. If you can submit a 311, and obviously Councilman Torrance is on the call, so that. But what's great about 311, if you take a photo, it helps the councilman document that in a way oh, you sent them. Of course you did. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Just need the number.
Yeah, if you can send us and CC Councilman Torrance the CR number.
Yeah, just forward the email that they sent you, and then we can check with it from Salesforce. I think Kirsten from my office is still on, so she can have our constituent services lead to actually look it up for you guys.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Lily.
We did reshape our office, everyone. We do have a new person. She will start joining you guys next month. Brittany Cole. We are reshaping, splitting the district in different quads right now, and slowly bringing her on because giving you 20 communities right away is a little bit of an alarming thing to keep up with. So we are slowly bringing her in. She's down through 10 out of the 20, and then she'll be through 15 soon and introducing. So it is a work in progress as we're onboarding. And because of the way that we changed, we actually purchased a new dynamic system. We used to keep track of all your constituent complaints in an Excel sheet. We now have an online cloud-based system that allows us to pull 311s into the system and allow us to give us reminders to follow back up with you to make sure that your issue was solved, because sometimes you get lost in the sauce. So we're not going to lie. Because we received 1,300 complaints last year that we had to resolve. So we're still processing through them and bringing everything over.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you.
Lily have her hands up.
Yes. Lily?
Just a really super duper quick update from St. Francis. We have a new community program on offering, which is led by two community members, Peter Van Buren and Donna Blackwell. And it's a Shangzen meditation class on Thursdays from 10 to 11. For anyone interested, it's open to everyone. Right now it's being held indoors in our cafe, but as we look towards warmer and warmer weather, I think we're looking to move it outside. So just wanted to put that out there. And we also have our spring gala coming up on May 3rd, and it's inspired by The Wiz. And there's lots of information about that on our website if anyone's interested. But I just want to put the word out there. So thank you.
Thank you. And you said it was a meditative practice and it's on Thursdays. I guess we can look in your newsletter, right, Lily?
It might not be, I have to actually, thank you for saying that. I need to add that to the website. But yes, it is Thursdays from 10 to 11 in the cafe at St. Francis.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, awesome things going on at St. Francis. Any other announcements? Things to share? Y'all are awesome for staying on. I know it's late. Melda has put the St. Francis Center website, so we could check that out. Those items might not be up yet, but when they are, we'll definitely, as soon as we have that information, Lily, we'll put it on our calendar as soon as you send it to us. And again, if there are any events in the city that you'd like to share with neighbors or anything going on in the community, we will put anything on our calendar. It's just a great way to share information with each other and keep abreast of things. Like we started putting the street closures on there too, like when they send us that, putting that on the calendar so you know how to deal with traffic over the weekend. But that's it, I think. Thank you for staying on. It was a long call, but super informative. Thanks for joining us, Teresa Stegman of MCB, Chad Williams of West North Avenue Development Authority, and of course, Councilman Torrance, thank you for joining us and joining us in solidarity earlier today as well. With that, we can close our meeting. We'll see you again either in one of our committee meetings or next month in this in the same place, same time. Have a great rest of your week. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.